Often when you're doing a piece based on a movie or a book, you go back to that source material. We had the source material right here. Very opinionated source material. So very often you'd write a lyric and be like, oh, he'd never say that word. Get that word out of there. I can't hear that word. Get that word out of there. Conversely, often I'd have a moment where I'd say, Chazz, I need what kind of car would he drive? And he would go into a story. Oh, well, when Fat Louie had this, and suddenly, half an hour later, he finishes the story. He's like, let's make a musical of that. I mean, we could have mined this material for like
Bronx
8
Tale
shows.
the Cars or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
So is some of that in the
Oh,
lyrics?
yeah, I mean, we used everything. And, very often we would find that there were things from the real story that didn't make it into the various versions that once he brought them up, it was like, oh my God, that's such an important part of the, for example, we were talking about the relationship between Sonny and C and Sonny and C's parents. And Chazz mentioned, well, my mom dated him. And we were like, what? That wasn't in any versions of this story. That makes so much sense. There's a whole father-son thing that's now, like this, C was literally the son he didn't have. It adds so many layers.
It turns it into a Greek tragedy or something.
Yeah. I mean, huge amounts of emotion. And it's not the kind of a detail that you want to make a huge plot arm out of, but just having that knowledge enabled us to layer things into the piece that made it evident and gave it more body and more depth.
Why did you leave that out of the story originally? Why wasn't that not?
I don't know. I always thought the story was between the boy, the father, and the son. I mean, what happened was Sonny asked my mother out, and my grandfather wouldn't let her go out with him. But I know my Sonny liked my mother very much. My mother was very beautiful. And then 3 weeks later, she met my father at a dance. And then she obviously married my father. And, I mean, Sonny, they never talked about it. But Alan was like, they were like, oh my God, we got to do something. And they did this little thing that I wasn't sure it would work when they did it. And I said, wow. But they did it, and it's just wonderful. They put it in the show.
That touches on that.
That touches on that, yeah. I was able to really talk in the musical about my dad and why he always said the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Because he played saxophone, and he was in a band, and he had talent, and he left it because I was born, and my sisters were born, and he had to get a job, So I was able to explore the relationship in the musical even more.
So yeah, every once in a while we'd put him on the couch, pump him for information.
Yeah.